And I want to turn to education. Education. Yes. Yes, I'm turning now to education. Improving education outcomes. Mr. Speaker, Kenya's future depends on developing strong human capital. And to this end, we will continue to strengthen quality learning, training and research, promote equity and inclusivity, scale up investment in education, fortify the system against emerging technological and labor market shift, as well as fortify education to industry linkages, thus ensuring skills match demand. Mr. Speaker, I propose 784.5 billion for the education sector. Mr. Speaker, a lot has been said about defunding education. But in 2026-27, we are proposing 784.5 billion shillings, which is 26.4% of the ministerial budgets. Compare that to 2021-2022 budget, before this administration came into office. The budget for education was 526 billion shillings. That has increased now by 49%. And it was 24.5% of the ministerial budget. Now it is 26.5% of the ministerial budget. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, it is not correct that this government, this administration is defunding education. In fact, we are funding it more. So this 784.5 billion includes Kenya shillings 424 billion to Teacher Service Commission for payment of our teachers. And that has moved from 290 billion in 2022 to now 421 billion shillings. Basic education is now 136. I'm proposing 136.6 billion. Compare that to 107 billion in 2022. 163.9 billion for higher education, which was 105 billion in 2022. 1.3 billion for science, innovation and research, and 58.5 billion for technical, vocational education and training. This comprehensive allocation safeguards service delivery and expands opportunities across the learning continent. Mr. Speaker, within this funding to the education sector, I propose 7 billion for free primary education, 54.6 billion for free day secondary education, and 30.7 billion for junior secondary school capitation. Those two lines, the free day secondary education 54.6 plus junior secondary education of 30.7, adds to a total of 85.3 billion. What was it in 2022? In 2022, it was 62.4 billion shillings. I also propose 9.9 billion for administering national exams, and that is in addition to what we have just provided before the end of this year to pay the arrears of 1.5 billion to teachers. So teachers who marked exams, they will be paid before the end of this financial year, 1.5 billion. 3 billion for school feeding program. Again, this school feeding program in 2022 had 2.2 billion. Now it is 3 billion. Mr. Speaker, I am proposing 4.9 billion to be provided for conversion of 20,000 intern teachers into permanent and pensionable from January 2027. Further, the newly recruited 24,000 intern teachers will be converted into permanent and pensionable terms in July 2027. In this respect, I am proposing an allocation of 8.2 billion for intern teachers to address staffing gaps and improving learning outcomes. Mr. Speaker, this government, by the time we reach next year, we will have employed 116,000. If you put it in terms of averages, over 20,000 teachers per year. There is no any other government that has ever employed more than 10,000 teachers per year. This government is employing on average 20,000 teachers per year. Mr. Speaker, to improve learning environment and skills training, I am proposing 4.1 billion for primary and secondary school infrastructure and 2.1 billion for construction and equipping of TVET centers, 7.1 billion for the Kenya Primary Education Equity and Learning Program, and 4.7 billion for Kenya Secondary Education Quality Improvement Project. Mr. Speaker, further investments in this sector include the following: 56.3 billion for Higher Education Loans Board for provisional loans to university and TVET students. And how much was it in 2022? 15.39. It has moved from 15.39 to 56.3 billion in this financial year. There is additional 30.9 billion for university scholarships. There is also 9.2 billion dedicated specifically for TVET scholarships and 6.7 billion for CBA arrears for universities and 2021-2022 CBA. And another 5.9 billion for ongoing projects in universities across the country, measures that expand access and strengthen human capital for a competitive economy. Mr. Speaker, let me talk now or speak to supporting manufacturing for job creation. Mr. Speaker, manufacturing is a linchpin for structural transformation. We will therefore continue to strengthen local value chains, deepen backward and forward linkages, and enhance competitiveness in domestic and export markets. Mr. Speaker, to continue promoting local industries, I propose 16.7 billion to support manufacturing initiatives across implementing agencies. This includes 2.6 billion for equipping county integrated agro-industrial parks, the ones that have been completed. 5.4 billion for supporting access to finance and enterprise recovery projects. 602 million for development of a three-river textile hub. 300 million for establishment of flagship export processing zone SAP, and 604 million for the development of special economic zone textile park in Naivasha, and 2.4 billion for Kenya jobs and economic transformation. These measures will deepen industrial clustering and create high-quality jobs. Mr. Speaker, I further propose 500 million for Coffee Cherry Revolving Fund, 2 billion for coffee debt waivers, and 2.7 billion for sugar sector reforms in order to stabilize key agricultural industrial value chains and protect livelihoods. Mr. Speaker, to prepare our youth for industry needs, I propose Kenya shillings 500 million for construction of industrial research laboratories that will foster innovation, internship, and industry academia collaboration. Now, improving security, which is of concern to all of us. Mr. Speaker, a safe and stable environment is indispensable for investment, trade, and economic growth. I therefore propose 252.1 billion for defense, 144.7 billion for the National Police Service, 64 billion for the National Intelligence Service, 63.9 billion for internal security and the national administration, and 42.6 billion for prison services. And these allocations strengthen national security and uphold the rule of law. Specific security interventions or investments include 13 billion to cater for leasing of police motor vehicles, 7 billion for police modernization program, 1 billion for construction and modernization of national forensic facilities. I have also proposed 3.9 billion for stipend to village elders for the first time, something that has been talked about for years, to enhance local administrative capacities, to appreciate. Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, let me repeat. I have also proposed 3.9 billion for stipend to village elders to enhance local administrative capacities and to appreciate and recognize the role played by village elders in helping address security and other societal challenges. Mr. Speaker, allow me now to turn to protecting the vulnerable groups in our society. Mr. Speaker, social safety nets remain central to BETA's objective of poverty reduction and inclusive growth. Strengthen safety nets, protect livelihoods, create pathways out of poverty, and enable economically excluded households to participate in productive activities. In this regard, Mr. Speaker, Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In this regard, I propose 41.8 billion to protect the vulnerable Kenyans, including 24.6 billion for cash transfers to the elderly persons, 8.9 billion for cash transfers to orphans and vulnerable children, and 1.5 billion for cash transfers to persons living with severe disabilities. These measures provide immediate relief and sustain basic consumption. And Mr. Speaker, the allocation also includes 4.3 billion for the Kenya Hunger Safety Net Program, 550 million for the National Fund for the Disabled of Kenya, 1.1 billion for the Child Welfare Society of Kenya, and 200 million to support autism and albinism programs in order to strengthen social protection and community support systems. Under equity, poverty reduction, women and youth empowerment. Mr. Speaker, anchored on the Kenya Young People's Agenda, we are funding key government interventions that will equip young youth with entrepreneurial and life skills, promote local and international employment, and unlock opportunities for youth-owned MSMEs. Mr. Speaker, the government will also fund initiatives that advance gender equality by promoting meaningful inclusion of women in decision-making, enhancing their economic empowerment, and in intensifying efforts to eliminate gender-based violence and harmful practices such as female genital mutilation. Mr. Speaker, to empower youth, women, and constituencies across the country, I propose 110.2 billion for targeted initiatives. This includes 12.5 billion for the National Youth Service, 4.9 billion to National Youth Opportunity Towards Advancement, that is NYOTA project, 1.6 billion for Youth Employment Support Program, and 1 billion for film development services. These investments will spur skills development, civic engagement, and growth in creative industry. Mr. Speaker, to support women and girls, I propose 402 million for the Women Enterprise Fund and 4.9 billion for the National Government Affirmative Action Fund to enhance their inclusion, dignity, and economic participation. Mr. Speaker, to promote regional equity and strengthen local development, I propose 61.8 billion for the National Government Constituency Development Fund, 10.3 billion for the Equalization Fund to finance programs in marginalized areas, and 10.5 billion for the Kenya Devolution Support Program number 2. In stimulating tourism growth, sports, culture, recreation, and arts. Mr. Speaker, sports and arts are vital for national identity, youth empowerment, and economic diversification. We will therefore promote sports at all levels,